to the channel. My name's Carissa, and this is Boxers and Books, where I talk about all things bookish and share with you my thoughts on books that I'm reading or have read. Today I'm here to talk to you about the sequel to what was my favorite book of the year and has been replaced by this book. And that is Solace by Vila Roth. It is the second book in the Blood Grace series, and it follows up Blood Mercy, which is the first book. So, before I talk about this one, I want to give a brief overview of what Blood Mercy is about. There will be a slight spoiler, I guess, in this for the ending of book one. So if you don't want to hear what happens, I will put spoilers on the screen when I am about to talk about that part, and you can just fast forward through that part. Anyway, so Blood Mercy is a historical fantasy romance that is very much high fantasy, very formal in its writing style, and very just amazing. But I'm biased. It's about the bastard daughter of a king meeting with a vampire-like being called Leo, who is a Hesperine. Hesperines are a vampiric-like race that are worshippers of the god Hespera, and they drink the blood of the willing. So they drink from humans until they are graced, and then they only drink from their grace. They also drink from animals if need be. But like I said, they're only drinking from the willing, so their magic will not allow for them to force somebody to let them drink from them. They also cannot drink somebody dry, and there are magical healing properties and even some sensual properties when they drink from somebody. So Hesperines are definitely painted as the good guys. It's very, this series so far in the two books that I've read is very black and white, in that there are good humans that are very few and good Hesperines, and then there are the bad humans. There aren't really bad Hesperines. So the Hesperines are definitely like the canonical good. Like they cannot be bad. From what I've seen thus far. Now that could change. There might be evil Hesperines in the future, but out of these two books, I've only witnessed good Hesperines, and I've witnessed a few good humans, but it's very much Hesperines versus the human race fighting each other. So, the first book is about Cassia, who is the bastard daughter of the king, and she goes with the king and his lords to Solace for the spring equinox summit that is between the humans of Tenebra and the Hesperines of Orthros. And their goal is to reach a treaty that will allow for the Hesperines to continue giving the solace and the mercy to humans in Tenebra without being basically hunted and killed for existing. And the treaty had lapsed. They had a treaty, and then it lapsed for a couple hundred years, and so this is the first summit in like 200 years, so it's a very momentous occasion, and the Hesperines were instructed to be on their very best behavior. Do not drink from any humans, only drink from animals if you need, and Leo is really the only one that needs to drink from anything, because the rest of the embassy is graced to each other. Like, each one has a pair. So he goes out at night to feast on deer, and during his walks at night, when he is feasting, he meets Cassia, because Cassia is bound and determined to meet a Hesperine for things that will become known later in the book. And over the nights of her sneaking out and meeting him, they get to know each other. She gets to understand more about the Hesperine culture and lifestyle and the things that humans typically monstrify. I don't even think that's a word, but you get what I mean. They definitely paint the Hesperenes as blood-sucking, blood-ritualistic monsters. And so she learns more about them, he learns more about her, and they fall in love. But there's things that are going on at the summit. It's not just, yay, we're in love, and that's it. Like, there's some political things that are going on, and just Cassia's interactions with Leo would be considered treasonous, but it goes further than that. So there's things that are going on, and then spoilers for the end of the book, the two end up separated. Leo has to go back to Orthros with the embassy in order to save the life of the embassy as well as his own life, and Cassia must remain in Tenebra because she is bound and determined to take down the king. And she thinks that if she stays, she is able to work behind the scenes to take him down, whereas if she was to leave with Leo, then it would immediately cause a war. It would give Lucius everything that he needs in order to start the war that he wants. So, fast forward 6 months, and we are in Blood Solace. So, in Blood Solace, they are separated still for a majority of the book, and it focuses a lot on what they are doing separately and also what they feel about each other while they are separated from each other. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of in-depth character work on their insecurities because they fell in love over the course of a season. Like, they were together a few months, maybe, if that, and they were together only like 4 nights. So it was a very like head first, thoughts later, speed through romance for them. Even though like as you're reading it, you can feel it develop and it's slow moving and things like that. In reality, it was very fast. And so there's a lot of insecurities that come with that because they are separated. And so there's thoughts of, well, does he like me anymore? Does she like me anymore? Now that we're separated, has she been with other people? Has he been with other people? Is he only coming back because he's honor bound to me because he feels like he has to? All this stuff. So I really, really liked that part of the book. I know that some people did not because they felt that Leo was like being whiny. But I honestly thought that it humanized both of them even more because at the beginnings of a relationship, like especially one that is so tentative and excuse my guinea pigs, they're in here because it is hot in the rest of the house and they cannot stand the heat, so they're in this room with fans going and they are fighting over the house. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Their relationship was very tentative and forbidden and fast moving that it's natural to be curious of like, well, was it just a tryst? Was it just, a spring fling? Was it real? And so it's normal and natural to have these doubts, I think, when you just meet somebody because you haven't been with them long enough to establish full trust in their relationship. Even if you feel like you have the full trust of the person, trust in the relationship is different. So I really liked that it delved into what they were feeling, those insecurities and doubts, but still the fact that they were like, no, like, I don't care if he doesn't want me anymore. I want him and I'm going to get back to him. Or I don't care if she, has moved on, but she is the one for me, and blah, 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 blah. So I really liked that part of the book, and I liked that they lived their own lives separate from each other. Like, they got that breathing space to know, yes, this is what I want. Because it easily could have been like, okay, we're separated, I'm gonna move on. Except it's not that simple for Leo, and you find out why. I won't spoil that, but you find out why. And so they're separated for the majority of the book, and Leo, to his credit, is keeping the secrets of Cassia. Like, he's letting people know what happened in Tenebra, but he's taking the credit for it because he promised Cassia that he would keep her secret, so that way she could continue doing what she was doing in Tenebra. And because he knew that once he told, the Hesperenes in the embassy, that they would want to go and save her and take her out of Tenebra. So he didn't want to ruin her plans, so he's keeping it secret. But slowly he's letting people in and telling them about her, about what she's doing, that she allies with the Hesperenes, and what she means to him. And so there are many heartfelt conversations that he has with his family, his parents, and his friends, his trial friends, sisters and brothers, where he tells them what Cassia is to him. And he is like so worried, and he's met with nothing but love. And while that could be infuriating for some people, that there's no objections to his love, I think it just is Hesperine nature, that you live and you love who you love, and it is what it is. Because there are LGBT characters in this book. Leo's trial brothers, Lyros and Mac, are both male, and they are graced, so they are together. The queens are together, so there's two queens. And then there are BIPOC characters as well, which is great. It's a very inclusive series. Vila Roth, I think she posted this on her website as a tag for, or just a not announcement, but just a thing about her writing. And she said that she wanted to make sure that every reader felt seen in her work. And as someone in the LGBT community, even though I myself am not represented yet because I am on the ace spectrum, I am very glad to see sapphic and gay relationships. I'm interested to see if there's if trans identity is a thing with Hesperenes and things like that as the series goes on. So another thing that I really liked about this book is the fact that Leo gets called out on his shit more than once. So he is very much a self-sacrificing, self-deprecating, takes the world on his shoulders and blames himself for everything type of guy, and feels the need to be perfect all the time, which I relate so much to, so much. And there's a part in the book, I tapped it because I literally was like, oh my god, this is me, where he's talking with Mac and Lyros, and Lyros says, "You're blaming yourself. If a human guest you've never met finds a bug in her shoe on the other side of the city in a guest house that you've never set foot in, it's always your fault. And I felt so seen in that. But also, I love that his trial brothers are not afraid to call him out and be like, look, you're taking blame. This is something you always do. Like, stop doing that. Because it's irrational. Like, just like blaming yourself for a human finding a bug in her shoe across the city that you've never met in a house you've never been to. Like, it would be irrational for you to say that that is your fault. What you are doing now is irrational. So I really liked that people were holding him accountable for his actions and also for how it was making them feel. So there's a part in the book where he meets with Xandra, who is his former lover, and he's all anxious to meet her because he thinks that, he's really hurt her, and, that she's still holding on to things and all this stuff. That he's projecting his feelings onto her. And she rightfully calls him out on it. Let me see if I can find it. I found it. So, Xandra says, Leo, I'm going to tell you something I never said when we still had our understanding. I am sick to death of your self-deprecation, and your struggles with yourself wear me out. My struggles with myself are tiring enough, and your attempts to help me with them never made me feel better. I hate feeling like a pupa who is too late for metamorphose. We aren't silkworms trying to burst from our cocoons. We are Hesperines, and just as we ought to be. For your sake, I hope you stop trying so hard, but even if you don't, I'm not going to let your perfectionism make me feel imperfect anymore. And then he says, I feel terrible. That was the last thing in the world I ever intended. I always tried to treat you better than anyone. And she says, like your personal goddess, yes, which made me feel I had something to live up to and should not be the messy creature I am. And he says, you aren't a messy creature, Xandra. You're the queen's daughter, the youngest princess of Orthros. We should all treat you with honor and cherish you. You don't have to treat me like a princess, Leo. Just treat me like me. I'm not a goddess. I'm a person. And then, they continue talking, and she says, don't you understand that all of us are trying to make it easier for you? Like, we're trying to spare your feelings by mitigating our own. And he talks about how he's realizing that he hurt her more than he ever knew. And she says, I am not that fragile, Leo. I know I'm not easy to deal with. My emotions are as volatile as my magic, and I wear my responsibilities about as gracefully as a new blood caught levitating at dawn. But how in the world did I ever give you the impression I am fragile? In hindsight, I think I owe that impression entirely to myself. It never occurred to me that my efforts to love and respect you were more like treating me like a glass votive Hesperus statue. Our trial sibs sometimes shelter me too much as well, but you're the worst, most protective. Do you really think any of us are that fragile? How do you think it makes us feel when we see ourselves through your eyes? One moment you think we're likely to shatter if you treat us poorly. The next moment we're judges harsher than the Akron's jury, likely to hate you forever if you make a single error. That couldn't be more false. We are your friends, your trial sisters and brothers. We are the first people whose strength you should lean on, and the last from whom you should expect censure. So, I said, someone needed to tell him this. Love and adoration does not equal sheltering and infantilizing the person you love. And I said that this would help him, or should help him, with Cassia. Because he very much is like, I'm not going to do this because I want to protect her fight. I'm trying to give her agency, blah, blah, blah. But in his quest for providing agency, he's kind of doing the exact opposite by treating them like they are a fragile being that can't hold their own and they can't make their own decisions about whether or not something is going to hurt them, or if they can handle something or not. So I really, 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 really like that part of the book, especially his conversation with Xandra and her calling him out on his overprotective, over-perfectionistic self. Because I think we all kind of need to hear that sometimes. I know for me it was kind of like looking into a mirror and being like, yeah, like, I do expect so much out of myself to where I, expect that if I make a single error that the people around me are going to hate me, or they're going to, I'm going to get censure from them or something like that. Like, I saw myself in this conversation, and I think that a lot of people could do with hearing that. But anyway, aside from all that, once Cassia and Leo get back together towards the middle of the book, the rest of the book is quite light in that it focuses more on their relationship and then her getting to meet different people, especially Leo's family, and a lot of the high stakes part occurs towards the middle and then it dissipates out, but it's not to say that it gets boring, because I found their reunion to be quite captivating, and the things going on with the other Hesperenes to be quite captivating, and in the back of your mind that the trouble is afoot, that things are not safe, even though in this moment we think that everything is all good, everything is safe. We know that it's not, that trouble is going to come. We just don't know in what form that trouble is coming. So it still has that tension and those stakes in the background, even if the rest of the book is more like reunion and realizing what they are to each other and things like that. So that was my non-spoilery review of Blood Solace. I could get into more that actually is spoilers, but I won't. I am going to leave it at that. It was easily a 5-star for me, and I think that it toppled Blood Grace as my favorite book of the year so far. It was so good. It was so good. I definitely think that Blood Mercy was good, but Blood Solace was so much better. And I'm so eager to see where the rest of the series goes. I'm reading the prequel right now that deals with a different couple, and I am going to start the third book after I finish the prequel, but I wanted a little break from Leo and Cassia, also so that way I would have time to order the rest of the books, so that way once I finish the third book I can delve into the fourth one and just marathon this series. So anyway, that's that. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. I'd love to have you. If you like the video, and comment down below what your thoughts are on character development versus plot in a story. Would you prefer for a book to take its time and really flesh out characters and it be a character focused story, or are you more of an action, like I want things to happen and things to go boom 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 to a crescendo and then come down and then maybe go up again, more plot, less, maybe not less vibes, but definitely more plot. Let me know down below which you prefer, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.